Really, the modern property cycles only started around 2013. The groundwork was laid as early as 2009 with the sub-degree on co-owned buildings, which allowed you to own a hard title in a co-owned building, and then followed by the law of foreign ownership. So this set the groundwork, but we had the global financial crisis. So the brakes were put on, but there were some green sprouts coming up. Actually, two high-rise buildings, but on the commercial side. Canadian Tower and Phnom Penh Tower were coming up at that time, but the brakes were put on the condo market. But we were off to the races. We were ready to start. Or were we? Maybe not quite yet. So it was a slow start. 2013 to 2016. We only saw 5,000 units, or less than 5,000 units coming on the market. But there's about approximately 2 to even 3 year pipeline to develop a new building. So it takes time, but there were 55 condominium project launches during that time. So there was certainly momentum that was going to come to fruition. So again, as Saquon said, low baseline, so high growth, but we're off. And then 2017, 2018 onwards, we really started to accelerate to a more modern condominium sector. I like to separate these into 2 phases. 2013 to 2016, we saw more of the market leaning towards Asian Pacific nations, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan. And then really 17 to 20, the Chinese became very dominant in the market. Chinese developments, Chinese buyers. So they really sort of dominated phase 2 and really pushed it forward. But what we saw in this time with all this wide range of investors, developers, is if it was a Singaporean developer, they would have their own Singaporean contacts, their own Singaporean network. The same with the Japanese, the same with the Taiwanese. So many Asian Pacific nations were introduced to the condominium market in Cambodia. This was the first. So actually the buyer pool, the amount of demand being generated with all these international developers started to increase more and more. And in line with that, what we saw, as you would expect, prices started to rise. From a moderate base, where we saw prices of mid-level projects launch around 1,800 in the early 2013s, we saw prices steadily increase for 5 years. Every year, 10, 20, 25% growth. In 2015 or 15, we saw high-end positioning of condominiums. So luxury, you can choose if they're luxury or not, but luxury projects launched into the market, when previously it was more mid-market products and positioning. So then we started to see multiple tier. We saw more affordable condominiums, mid-range condominiums, and then more positioning towards the sort of high end of the luxury. So it was still very early days for the condominium sector, but we saw new products maturing in a way. And in 2016, for the first time ever in Cambodia, we saw over $4,000 a square meter for our new condominium launch. I remember that very clearly now. We're at new project launches such as J Tower 3, and there are others, but we are now below 2013 prices. And we now have more mature developers. We have developers with track record. We have successful track records of developing, but also for their buyers selling. So where we are now is, in my opinion, we've reached the bottom. And over 2014 into 2015, or half to 2024, we will begin into property cycle 2, where new project launches will offer greater value in terms of pricing, but also in terms of delivery, what they're able to deliver to their buyers. So new project prices are undercutting the market, and this is positive. So what will property cycle 2 look like? You can Google property cycle for pretty much any nation in the world, and you will see a similar pattern. Not every nation, but you see a pattern of growth, you see a pattern of recession, you see a pattern of growth. Generally upward trends, especially in developing nations, emerging nations. This tends to be more dramatic in faster increase. So as long as we don't have too many more global shocks outside of the control of Cambodia, we're expecting the prices to start going up. We've been through the pain. Yes, there might be 6 months more to sort of wait, but we're starting to see the early shoots of the Fed talking about inflation's under control, interest rates are going to start coming down. This will then more positive sentiment in the market. That'll trickle down to Cambodia. We start going. So we're in the J-Tower showroom. I wanted to talk a little bit about something specific for J-Tower 3. 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms aren't oversupplied in the market. They have quite high occupancy. Their price per square meter is lower than 2013 prices. Of all the condominiums in Phnom Penh, only about 18% are 3 bedrooms. Previously, developers much preferred studios and 1-beds. They were easier to sell. But rental yields for 3 bedrooms are marginally higher. That's because I think there's a premium on the bigger units. You're looking for a different target demographic of tenant, generally C-suites or mature established families. And also those sort of tenants will stay longer, they will be there with families. They're not looking to move every 6 months. If they move with their family or they're here for a C-suite job, they will stay longer. And generally a building comprised of 3 bedrooms is going to be a low density building, less people in it, higher, increased livability. So what will be some of the things that buyers and developers look for? It will be that the regulations still need work, if I'm honest. Cambodia hasn't really introduced dramatic changes to its regulatory environment, so we can still see a very hot development phase. They haven't put in place anything to cool that. You want a calmer property cycle rather than huge peaks and troughs. But what we're looking at already is developers with experience. In 2013, no developer had experience. Not in Cambodia, maybe in their home nation, but it was different developing here. So we now have developers who've proven that they can develop products where their buyers have, in general, like almost all of them, have achieved high rental yields and capital gains. So, and also in terms of the products that you can buy now, the financial products in terms of financial favourable payment terms, mortgages, loans. We're in a better, more mature environment in terms of developers, in terms of buyers, and in terms of the financial sector. So I think that's everything that I've got to say. That sums it up. Just wanted to provide this sort of oversight of